Hello, everybody. A very good morning or good afternoon or good evening. This is Prashant here, and with me I have Frank as well. Today we are going to focus on the lab demo session part, the second part that we have planned it out for the 28th of May. So with that being said, Frank, over to you to kind of give them an overview of what is expected out of this particular session and what are the tips and tricks that they can follow to ace this particular assessment that's coming up.
Perfect. Okay. Hello, my friends. Well, first of all, is glad to see you again. Have the opportunity to work together again. And well, the most important thing today, we're going to have the opportunity to review, which is expected things that we're going to happen on that we're going to have on the second lab demo. Is that okay? As you know, in the second lab, we will focus on layer 3 protocols, OSPF, EARP, OSPF for IPv6, EARP for IPv6. So prepare for that kind of protocols, prepare for that process, Dhcp. I would like to say that process at the end, you will going to have the opportunity to ask anything, any question that you have, okay? But in order to start this demo, we're going to review what happened because many of you have a lot of problems. Many of you will have a lot of problems with your configurations on the previous demo. Okay, your results was not as expected, so that's why I'm going to review what happened with that process. Okay, I'm going to give you some advices, some tiny clues that probably you can use as an advice for the next lab. Is that okay? First of all, remember, at this moment, everybody should have all the lab already set up. Is that okay? If you don't have any kind of problem, that is fantastic. If you have some problems, my friend, what are you doing? What are you doing? What you did in these 2 weeks? Okay. So my first question, does everybody right now is able to join into the lab? It is not necessary to export again. It is not necessary to set up it again. The only thing that we need is have access to the lab. We must have access to the lab. Everybody right now, if you have access to the lab, give me a yes on the chat. Put a yes on the chat. Perfect. I can see only 3. We have 160. What happened with the others? Okay. Very good. Excellent. Okay. I can see many right now, but it's not 169. What happened with the others? Ritu, you have a raised hand. Okay, Prashad, could you please help me unmute all the raised hands?
Sure. Okay, there are so many raise of hands. So I'm going to start off with the first person.
Okay.
Himanshi, could you just start off? Himanshi, you there?
Yeah.
You had raised in your hand. So you had any doubt?
Oh, no. I thought he was asking for if we have access to labs. Sorry.
Okay. No worries.
Okay. Do not raise your hand. Just type yes on the chat, please. Remember, the raising hand is for asking questions. Okay, follow the instructions, my friend. Please wake up. I know that it's late in Bangalore, but follow the rules. Okay, right now I can see many people with a yes on the chat, but I cannot see 169. What about other confirmations? People who's not sending yes here on the chat, I will going to assume I have some other people with questions. Karun Tija, what happened, my friend? What happened? Karun.
Hi, Karan. I've just unmuted you. You can just go ahead and speak.
Okay.
Sorry, Frank, it's by mistake.
Okay. Please. Remember, again, for everybody, you can hear me? Perfect. Okay. Again, for everybody, if you have access to your lab and you don't have any problem to access to your lab, on the chat, please type yes. That's all. I need a list of everybody who have access to the lab. If you have problems, do not type yes. Okay. In the last, the next 10 seconds, maximum 10 seconds, please type yes. If you already type it, do not type it again. Just type yes. I need to have an statistics. I need to create an statistics. Okay, you have 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Perfect. That's correct. So now I'm going to collect my statistics. Just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Your name should be here. Your name should be here. Okay. Just give me 1 second, 1 more second. Everybody that is here? Everybody here?
So Frank, just a quick thing. You also have PEX managers or the AMs, aspiring managers in this crowd.
Okay,
So,
but well, those guys do not participate into the lab activities, so I'm not worried about him. I only need people who have access to the lab. Don't worry.
Perfect.
Excellent. Okay. Now, my friends, now, if you have problems to access to the lab, oh my God, everybody remains sending yes. Some people remain sending yes. You only have 10 seconds. Okay, but well, okay, right now, important thing. If you have problems to access to the lab, give me a no on the chat, and I will contact you. Again, if you don't follow the instructions, I never going to contact you. Is that okay, my friend? So please, if you have problems accessing to the lab, give me a no on the chat. I can see no's, so that means everybody has access to the lab. So please, access to the lab, my friends. Access to the lab, because today we're going to work with some activities. Everybody will follow me. Okay. Really, Gorley? You don't have access to the lab, Gorley? Okay. Gorley Rohit. What is the problem, Gorley? Will you please unmute Gorley's mic? Do you have some specific situation? Do you receive some log? Do you already try to fix it? Okay, Gorley. Gorley.
Hello, Rohit.
I don't have any problem. Okay, what happened with you, Gorley? You're not paying attention? What is the problem?
No, I don't have any problems, Frank.
So remember, if you have problems, type no. That means I don't have access. If you don't have any problems, that's just type yes. Perfect. I had to image my laptop yesterday, so I have to set up once again. We'll do it possibly by today, so I don't have access to the lab Now, no problems. Okay, perfect. Okay. Friends. I don't know what happened. But I think maybe we need to talk again. Okay, please open your lab. Open your lab, because today's session we need our lab. You can use the previous lab activity, the previous one, the lab activity that you did as a lab challenge. We can use exactly the same topology. If you have the file, you can import the file again. Okay, let me share my screen with you. And let's open the file. Let's open the system. If you want an empty file, if you need an empty file, if you need an empty topology, let me share the topology with you again. There's no problems, there's no issues. We need an empty topology for today's explanation. Remember, this is a topology, exactly the same topology that you have on your lab. Exactly the same topology. Okay, let's do the next situation. And we're going to export this file, lab student second, and we want to export this file again in order that everybody has the opportunity to, work with me today. Is that okay? Give me 1 second. Suppose that we have the whole entire panel, or a panel with everybody. Okay, if not, I will share it with Prashad, and Prashad will forward it for you. Prashad, please forward the next file to everybody.
Sure, Frank.
Thank you so much, my friend. Share it with everybody. Okay.
Got it. Just give me a second and it will be with all of you guys.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Now. Prashad will forward then the file, the lab topology. The lab topology for today. You can use this lab topology, or you can use the previous one. Doesn't matter. The important thing is open this lab topology. As soon as you open this lab topology, the lab topology, please confirm on the chat panel with a yes that you already have the topology. Okay, you have 5 minutes maximum to open the topology. Perfect team. I can see many people right now confirm. Great. Excellent, my friends. Excellent. I can see many people. What about the others? I only have confirmation for 10 people. 5 minutes. We have more. Yeah. Confirm that you open the lab topology. Confirm. You can click yes, you can say no, you can say confirm. Yeah. You can click, you say open, something like that. So confirm that you have the topology. Perfect. Okay. Great. Fantastic. Okay, fantastic. Okay, my friends. Okay. I can see many people right now. A lot of people, but not 169. Even 100. I know that here we have some text managers, but what about the others? What about the others? Please import the topology. Remember, you know how to import it because the next lab activity, I will going to share a new topology, and you should import the lab topology here. Don't remember how to import it, Frank. Okay, very good. Let me stop it. Let me stop it for you. Let me stop it. And remember, the only thing that you need to do is import the lab. The only thing that you need to do is import the lab. Imported, perfect. Open the lab, open the lab, open the lab. You don't remember how to import it? It's so simple. Just go to the main page, select import, and select the file. Select the file that I already shared with you. You select the file, you click on open, the file will be loaded here at the top. It's not necessary that you extract the file. You click upload, and immediately a new file will be imported. Open the topology and run for work. Okay. I'm ready to work. Excellent. My friends, recommendations for the next lab. We're going to start at this point. We're going to start at this point. Perfect, perfect, perfect. One of the things that fail, we have a lot. You have a lot of failures on the section number 2. Okay, but the section number 1, this is critical. This is critical. The section number 1, it is really important because it's related with security. And the security process of our devices, we need to protect our network. And one of the things that I detect that is failing here is how to protect the terminal lines, the VTY lines to remote connections, yeah, to inbound connectivity, and how to protect the line console to local protection, to local connections. Remember, the line console gives us the opportunity to locally manage the device. That is called out of the band process. Okay, and we're going to open the router number 1 first. Okay. We're going to interact a lot in this training. Focus router 1. This is my router 1, an empty one. Remember, would you like to enter to the initial configuration dialog? The answer is always no. If you say yes, you will going to interact with the wizard. Would you like to terminate the auto install? The answer is always yes. If you type no, the system say, hey, I need it. I need it. Can you see? Immediately, auto install begin attempt 2 over 010. So always need it. Okay. In a couple of seconds, my device will react. And we're going to say, would you like to terminate the auto install? Can you see right now? The answer should be yes. Yes. Perfect. And the router start to operate. We have an empty device. Perfect. Important thing. At this moment, for example, I type an incorrect word that is yes. So this is part of our lab guide. They say disable the domain resolution. What is the command that we're going to use in order to disable the domain resolution? Put it on the chat. Give me the command that I need to type in order to disable the domain resolution. Perfectly. Enable, configure terminal, no IP, domain, lookup. You can type it without a hyphen, or you can type it with the hyphen. Both commands are accepted. This is a problem for the console, but both are correct. Yeah, real Cisco devices support both because this is part of the problem of the configuration, but this is not our problem. So you can type it. No IP domain lookup. When you do the command show run, immediately the system put it the no IP domain lookup without the hyphen or with the hyphen. Don't worry. Okay. Often people type it without the hyphen. the same thing. Do run. No IP domain lookup. Can you see? Immediately the system interprets and put it in the correct way. No IP domain lookup without or with a hyphen. Don't worry. Perfect. That's just to disable the domain resolution. In that scenario, if I have a typo, for example, yes, immediately the system do not stop working and continue working. Some of you forget the no IP domain lookup, even if it's requested. But the word is it. The word is in the line console. This system needs a protection. Line console 0. If you want to type a password here, you will use the command password. Let's type the password CXA. Remember, the password, if you add an extra space, the space is part of the password. So the system required all the password requested by the Lacp guide is without spaces. So please take care about this small detail. If you add a space, there's no way that I have access to the system because right now is password plus the password plus an extra space. So guarantee that you don't have extra space. This is one of the main problems that you have. Password. Now my console line has a password. If I have a password on the console, it is my responsibility to enable that password. Login. If I don't type the command login, the thing that happens is a horrible thing. The thing that's going to happen is a horrible thing. Because right now my device do not provide access to the console. And next time that I type it, disable, exit, please return to get started. When I hit enter, immediately the system, as soon as I simulate a console connection, request a password, CXA, and the password should be present. If I don't have access to your system, how you are going to be evaluated? So please, my friends, remember every single time that you protect the console, remember use the word login. If you don't have the word login, I don't have access to your system and you will not be evaluated. Is that okay? Imagine that you buy a door, you buy a house and you install a door in the house and you don't have the key. How are you going to access to the new house? How are you going to access to that door? Is that okay, my friends? Please, always remember that process. Always remember that process. Any question until this moment? If you have any question, use the chat panel or use the Q&A. Very good, very good, very good. Second, enable. In order to protect the access to the privilege mode, enable. We're going to use a command called enable password. Configure terminal. Enable password. If you use the command enable password, okay, your password, which should run, is a clear text. Is that okay? We have the opportunity to protect all clear text passwords with a command called service password encryption. Which should run. And you see right now, but this password remains unsecure because the protection level is not the best one. If the Lacp guide requests a secure password, that means we need to change that password for enable secret. When we use a secret password, we use MD5. That is much better than a clear text password or a Cisco type 7 password. So we can use enable secret. Every single time that you say use secure, that means we need to use an encrypted password, a better protection password. Enable secret, Cisco. Again, no extra spaces. If you add an extra space, the password is not going to match. Enable secret, Cisco. Boom. Hit enter. What's going to happen? If I type right now, exit here. The first password is to access to the system, to the console, to enable the console, CXA. Then enable This password provides access to the privilege mode. Cisco. Perfect. Did I explain correctly? Great, fantastic. Those are common problems that you have on your system. And you spend a lot of time trying to figure out why you are not having access to your devices. You spend a lot of time figuring out what is not possible to manage again the router. Some of you reload the system. Some other of you try to delete the configuration. Some other of you you did a lot of things to recover the um, to recover the connection. This is so simple. If you install the passwords perfectly, you're never going to have problems. The last password, the BTY lines. The BTY lines. Here, here. Configure terminal. Line BTY. The BTY lines give us the opportunity to manage remotely a device. In this system, we have only 4, and we're going to protect all of them from 0 to 4. We're going to use a password again. Password. Maybe the password that we're going to use should be remote. Remote. If I type the password remote, again, I need a login. If I don't have a login, how are we going to manage this device? How are we going to interact with that device? Is that okay? That's why the task number 2 was create some IP addressing scheme. Many of you have a great IP addressing scheme. Congratulations, fantastic. That's made me really happy. So let's go to start an IP address. I'm going to start an IP address just to verify what happened here, okay? Important thing, a very important thing. Ready? Ready? Okay, I'm going to start an IP address. Interface Ethernet 00, IP address 172.16.12.100.1. 255.255.255.0. Why you are using that IP address? Why you are using that IP address? Perfect. I'm using this IP address. In order that I have a management IP address of the system on the router. Why you select that one? Just to demo. The main goal of this session is a demonstration. Just to demo. But you have in the system on the lab guide, you have a pre-selected IP addressing scheme. You also have the opportunity to create your own IP addresses and select your one. Only guarantee that you are having the correct network segment, because you already have a pre-selected network segment on the lab guide. Is that okay? In the next lab guide, you are going to do exactly the same. So the first section is also in the next lab guide, because the security section, we cannot skip it. Is that okay? We are preparing our field. We are preparing our network. But right now in the second lab, it is a little bit shorter, because right now you already practice all this process and you know how to type it, you know how to implement. The first section should be done in the next lab guide between 30 and 40 minutes maximum. Is that okay? If you don't complete the first section in the 40 minutes maximum, my friends, you're going to have some problems to finish it with the lab guide. Is that okay? Very good. So right now, at the interface Ethernet, we already have the address. According to the lab guide, your switch number 1, or your switches, this is the other problem. This is the other problem that I found. This is another problem that I found on the system. According to the lab guide, your switch number 1, or your switches, should have communication with the routers. Should have communications with the routers using the default native Vlan. What is the default native Vlan? Give me the answer on the chat. Perfect. Perfect team. The VLAN number one. Excellent. Excellent. The VLAN number one. Excellent. Excellent. Remember, we have a Q&A panel and we have a chat panel. The chat, on the chat. Use the chat panel. Perfect. Is that okay, my friends? So right now, I'm going to use the VLAN number one. Configure directory. It is important. For example, here you can use the command non-IP domain lookup. Again, right now. How are we going to install an IP address on the VLAN? We need to create an SVI. Interface VLAN 1. When you use a VLAN like an interface, immediately you are creating an SVI. But the SVI, the state of the SVI, it is down. My friend, how are you going to have communication with the system if the interface, if the management interface, it is down? What is my responsibility? What I need to do? What is the thing that I need to do in order to have communication? Perfect. I need to enable it. Now shut down. Many of you keep the SVI down. How we're going to get communication if your SVI is completely down? So right now, my friends, I want to explain something for you. I want to explain something for you because this is critical. This is really important. And this is the most important thing that probably when you are configuring the lab guide. That means we need to understand what we are doing. What is the thing that we are what is the thing that happens in our lab guide? Let's apply the IP address. I'm going to use an IP address that belongs to the same network segment, that belongs to the same broadcasting domain, because the router 1 and the switch 1 and the whole entire system, router 1, router 2, router 4, router 3, and switch 4, everybody is sharing exactly the same broadcasting domain. If you pay attention here, if you verify what is happening here, we have only one broadcasting domain, this one. All devices is sharing one broadcasting domain. So by default, if everybody is sharing exactly the same broadcasting domain, like any other network, the IP addressing scheme should be exactly the same. All devices should share exactly the same addressing scheme. So the thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to install an IP address that belongs to the 100, but a different one. I have 255 possible options. I'm going to use the 11 for the switch. That's all. 255, 255, 255.0. Is that okay? Boom. So simple like that. A gift for you, for your life. A gift for your life. Remember, every single time that you create an SVI, in order to have the SVI operationally, you must satisfy, or you need to satisfy 3 conditions. Which is most important than the other? No one. All are important. So you need to satisfy that 3 conditions always. Take your notes. The first one, you need to create the SVI with the command interface, VLAN, and the VLAN number. And apply the command not shutdown. So the first one is create the SVI and enable it. That's the first condition. Create the SVI and enable it. Second condition, install an IP address. IP address, great. Install an IP address. Boom. Second condition. Third condition, in order that this SVI change the state to up, to show interface, status, to show IP interface brief, up. Remember the first status, physical layer 1, second layer protocol, up. In order that we have up in this status, our SVI, must have at least on the VLAN. Oh, so that means the VLAN must exist, correct? To show VLAN in the VLAN database, the VLAN that belongs to that SBI must exist. Yeah. The third condition must exist and at least one interface as an access, or the VLAN should be permitted in a trunk. Yeah, should happen. That's a scenario. That is a scenario. So the third step is the VLAN must exist and at least one interface should be as an access, or the VLAN should be permitted on a trunk. That's critical. If you don't satisfy any of that three conditions, that means if you don't have the IP address, that means if you don't have, the VLAN is always down. So please guarantee that, my friends, for your next lab activity. Frank, the next lab activity you say that is focused on layer 3. Yeah, but it's always, we always got to have interaction with layer 2. So we need to satisfy some tiny things about layer 2. Some tiny things. In a couple of seconds, I'm going to demonstrate which tiny things. Okay, my friends. So right now, what happened? When you switch as an SBI, when the switch get the SBI, right now, test your connections. That's my other advice. Nobody's testing. Nobody's testing. Is that okay? Yes, I'm testing. Okay, if you test, perfect. But 90% of the people who configure the challenge do not test anything. Anything. How you know that's right? Because there's no logs, because there's not information on my system, because if you were test, you will find the mistakes that you have in your passwords, this kind of process. Now, my friends, if I issue the word telnet and I apply the 172.16.100.1, that is my router, the line BTY, yeah, the line BTY, we're going to receive that information in a couple of seconds. Yeah. And the system will say, okay. And the system will say, okay, what happened? Hey, Frank, it's not supposed that you enable the line BTY with the password remote, with the command login. And it's supposed that we should have the opportunity to connect remotely to that device, because right now we have an SBI and they say the connection timeout is not responding. What happened if I try to telnet password CXA, enable Cisco? What happened if I go to my router and apply the command telnet and I try to telnet into the switch 172.16.100.11? They say destination reachable or host or gateway down. What is the problem? What is the problem? My experts, what is the problem? What I'm missing? What I'm missing? Why is not working? I can say the configuration is correct. Why is not working? Because this is the other problem that everybody has. People gateway, I don't need it. It's a broadcast domain. Everybody's sharing in the same broadcasting domain. Perfect. Perfect. Hi. Perfect. No shutdown in router, which the interfaces on router do show IP interface brief. All interfaces show IP interface brief. All interfaces in router comes shut down by default. So it's my responsibility to configure terminal interface Ethernet 00. When you configure the IP address, you need to type the command no shutdown. If you don't type the command no shutdown, it doesn't matter if you have the correct IP address. It doesn't matter if you configure everything correct. You are not able to communicate with the system. You don't really need a default gateway. The only thing that you need is that enable interface. And right now the system gets an external communication. Password, remote. And if the password is correct, right now you are in the router. I don't believe you, Frank. Let me change the whole name. Whole name. Frank, router 1. exit. Tell it again, password, remote, for security, Frank Router 1. Is that okay? But my friends, the lab guide is a challenge, but at the same time, the lab guide is designed in order to help. And let me tell you something. In the lab guide, they say, when you configure the line VTYs, if somebody access remote to that device, goes directly to the privilege mode. You have different choices. But in the previous lab guide, you say line VTY 024, and you already have a password and you already have the login. But how are we going to guarantee go to the privilege mode? Oh, we need to type the command privilege happen here. If you have problems, remember you're always able to use the question. Yeah, I'm typing it correctly. I don't know what is not. Privilege level. Is that okay? Right now, if you apply the command to chevron, you can find a privilege level. If someone has access remotely, this moment, telnet, IFTP remote, instead of going to the user mode, immediately you go to the privilege level. You go to the internal process. Why the lab guy is designing that way? Why is this important that you understand what is configuring? Because if you have a problem with your console password, if you forget, your enable secret, but at least your remote password is working, you have one extra shot to correct it, because right now you are in the privilege level of this router, and it is not necessary that you delete the whole entire configuration and retype it again, everything. Did I explain correctly? Make sense? Please, for the next lab guide, pay attention to that detail, because it is important that your security process are correctly set up. Any question until this moment? If everything is okay, give me a yes on the chat panel. Perfect. Perfect, my friends. Perfect, my friends. Please remember that, because you're going to use it on the next lab activity. Let's right now focus on switches. In a couple of seconds, I will come back here. Focus on switch. Another task that is requested on the switch is create wrong links. Okay. And create VLANs. The wrong links, they say create wrong links on all inter-switch connections. Please review your network diagram. Analyze your network diagram. If I'm here on the switch 1 and I'm going to create a trunk for the switch number 2, if you can see, if you use these connections, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, those connections identify the links that I'm sharing with the switch number 2. Exit. Let's put a name. Configure. No, sorry. Host name. Switch 1. Let me open the switch number 2 for you. In order to compare and verify what happened here. So switch number 1, running. Switch number 2, running 2. Cool. Switch number 2 in the bottom, switch number 1 in the top. Remember, let's analyze the next situation. Enable. Configure terminal. Host name. Switch 2. My friends, if I'm not sure, if I'm not paying attention to my network diagram, if I only have one monitor and it's kind of difficult to swap between topology and the consoles, any kind of problem that you have, the system always helps to you. Which is the command? Which command? Give me the opportunity to analyze and verify in which interfaces I'm interacting with the other device, which is the correct device. How can I get information about my neighbors? Because this could give to you a command. What is the command? Give me the command on the chat. What is the name of the command? Perfect, perfect. Show CDP neighbors. If you apply the command do show CDP neighbors, the thing that's going to happen is you will going to discover in which interfaces you have a connectivity to the switch number 2. So please, my friends, pay attention to the connections. You create front links over interfaces that were not in use in your system. Many of you have switch 1, interface 4. And I say 4? What is the 4? You have 1, you have 2, you have 3, you have 3, 0, 3, 1, 3, 2. But the 4? What happened? The 4 is in use on switch 4 and switch 3, not in switch 1. So that's the only problem. You start to mix configuration in incorrect devices. You apply configuration for the switch number 3 on the switch number 1, or configuration that belongs to the switch number 1 in switch number 3, or configuration that belongs to the switch number 3 in switch number 2. So please organize your work. I told you, switch 1 in the top, switch 2 in the bottom. If you want to simulate your current status, probably you can create switch 1 in one side, switch 2 in the other side. So switch 3 will be in below the switch 1, and switch 4 below switch number 2. In that scenario, at least, you have the whole entire topology according to the diagram description. So please, my friends, organize your work. There's a lot of problems with that process. A lot of problems. So right now, the next step is create a trunk. How are we going to create a trunk? First, interface range, Ethernet 1.0, all the links that is on the trunk, all the links that we have on the trunk, all of them to 3. Is that okay? The lab topology for the next lab activity is the same one. So please interact with the lab topology, become familiar with the lab topology, discover the connections, analyze the lab topology. Great, fantastic. Now, interface range. What is the first command that I need in order to create a trunk? Give me on the chat. What is the first command? Switch for mode trunk. Okay. Switch port, mode, trunk. Boom. The system say command rejected. An interface mode trunk encapsulation is auto and cannot be configured as trunk mode. How are we going to fix it? How are we going to fix it? What is the command? Switch for mode access? Come on. I request for trunk, not access. We only have two choice, access or trunk. Perfect, Sumaya. Perfect, Sumaya. We need first to encapsulate the system. Switch port, trunk, encapsulation, .1Q. If you don't encapsulate the system, the encapsulation is auto. How are you going to negotiate a .1Q process? Right now. Do we already have a trunk link? No. Now, switch port, mode, trunk. At this moment, do we already have a trunk link? Yes. The answer is yes. So my friends, you always remember, first you need to encapsulate, and then you need to add a trunk. Why we need to encapsulate? Because you have a layer 3 capability switch. Every single layer 3 capability switch needs first to select the encapsulation process. Because here in Cisco, we have two. .1Q that is the standard and the Cisco proprietary protocol. What is the name of the Cisco proprietary protocol? Give me it on the chat. Give me the answer on the chat. What is the name? Correct, ISL. Inter-switch link. EIGRP, come on. EIGRP is layer 3. We are talking about layer 2, my friends. Okay? ISL, inter-switch link. Please review your topics. Review your topics. Right now, switch for trunk encapsulation, that one queue. Switch for no trunk. Do we already have a trunk? How are we going to refine it? Showing interface. Trunk. Yes. You already have a trunk. But in your system, but in the lab, but on the lab, it is requested that you disable dynamic trunking protocol. It is requested that you disable the dynamic trunking protocol. Disable VTP negotiation. If you apply right now in any of the interfaces that is participating as a trunk link, the command do show interface Ethernet 10 switch port. Immediately you can see that your system has something called negotiation of trunking on. And it's important that you disable it. How are we going to disable? Which is the command that we need to use in order to disable the negotiation of a trunk? Give me in the chat. Perfect. 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 Meeting and rack. Perfect. Perfect, Haidini. Perfect. No negotiate. Switch port. Switch port. And the command is all together. No negotiate. It's just one word. It's not two words. Switch port, no negotiation. That's correct, Subhaya. Switch port, no negotiate. If I apply the command switch port, no negotiate, the $1 million question. The $1 million question. If I go to the router to the switch number 2, sorry. Do we already have a trunk or not? If you say yes, give me a yes on the system. If you say no, give me a no on the system. Do we already have a trunk? If you say yes, say yes. If you say no, type no. Perfect. 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 Divya, why'd you say yes? Rishab, why'd you say yes? We already have it. To show interface trunk. Hey Frank, why we have a trunk link? Because you have the mode auto. And do you remember dynamic trunking protocol? Dynamic trunking protocol comes enabled by default on the system. So what happened? When the first side, switch 1, negotiate the trunk, when the first side issue the word switch port trunk encapsulation.1q, you have a letter in here because you're going to negotiate using .1q process. And when you apply the command switch for no trunk, and as soon as the dynamic trunking protocol was enabled, it immediately goes to the other end and negotiate a trunk. That's why this guy is in auto mode. Please, my friends, the lab guide requests perfectly. Do not leave any trunk in negotiated process. So what is my responsibility? I need to go to the switch number 2, apply the command interface range, again, select all the interfaces, apply the command switch port trunk encapsulation .1q in order to avoid the negotiation to show interface trunk. Can you see? Remove the in. Right now you are not negotiating the protocol. You select manually the protocol and apply the command to show. Oh my God. And apply the command switch port mode trunk. If you apply the command switch port mode trunk, to show interface trunk. And your interfaces right now is in on mode. On mode. Great. But you need to disable the auto negotiation process. You need to disable DTP. So what is the missing command? Switch port, no negotiate again. So this is an important thing. My friends, how many minutes we spent creating the trunk link here? Maybe 5. Maybe 5. And probably it's too much. What is the other thing that I need to do? I need to go to my interfaces because I need to create all inter-switch link. Switch 1 again, interface range, Ethernet 30, 3023, 343 encapsulation.1Q, switch port for trunk, switch port not negotiate, and I already have the trunk links in the other end, going to the switch 3. Switch number 2, interface range, Ethernet 20 to 3, switch port trunk encapsulation.1Q, switch port mode trunk, and switch port non-negotiate. We already have the trunk links. Less than 1 minute. Less than 1 minute. But nobody completes the trunk links. Why? I don't know. Is that okay? Now, the next step.
Frank,
Yeah, Prashad?
sorry to cut you short over there, but sometimes your voice is becoming a little muffled and sometimes it's a little far off. So could you just check on your microphone side, or could you just connect to a Bluetooth or earphones?
Sure. Just give me 1 second. Let me verify what is happening. Probably we have the probably I have the activated the background noise, and that's why as soon as the background is having some problems.
Sure. Not sure if this is the case with everybody. Can I just have a quick confirmation on the chat window as to if everyone is facing this?
Okay, I'm going to remove my background noise right now. And
yes.
Please let me verify if right now you are having a better experience.
Definitely, yes.
Perfect. Yeah, let me remove the background noise. Let me cancel the background noise remover because the background noise every single time that detect noise in the background, like mute the mic or something do with that. Now it is clear. Perfect. All good now. Excellent, my friends. Yeah. Let's do it again. If you hear some background noise, just ignore it. But I think right now you will have a better experience. Perfect. Okay, my friends. Okay. Now, here. Let me open the chat panel again. Fantastic. Okay. Let's move to the next one. Let's move to the next one. Let's do the next one. Okay, right now. Another important thing. 4 channels. 4 channels. Okay. In the lab guide, we have some restrictions. And we have some important things to configure in the lab guide. One of the requested tasks is create a port channel between switch 1 and switch 2 or between any other port channel. Between switch 1 and switch 2, we're going to create a port channel. And they say, use a specific protocol. Imagine that the lab guide is requesting right now that use PAGP. If we want to use PAGP, if you remember, PAGP works over 2 different processes. Let me open here so quickly the magic port, just to have a quick reminder, just like a quick reminder. Okay, we have the magic board right now. Imagine we have our switch number 1, and we have the switch number 2, both switches. We have 4 connections. 4 connections. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is that okay? Everything is fantastic? No problems? Cool. We need to create a port channel, but we have 2 different protocols. One is called PAGP. PAGP. This is the Cisco proprietary protocol, the port aggregation protocol, but we have another protocol that is the standard one that's called LACP, Link Aggregation Control Protocol. Is that okay? PAGP has 2 operational modes. One is called, what is the name of the operational modes of PAGP? What is the supported mode for PAGP? Give me the information on the chat. Give me the information on the chat. One is called auto, and the other is called, what is the other name? Disable. Perfect. Be careful, Gorley. Auto, on, indesirable, those are DTP modes. That's why sometimes people confuse DTP with PAGP. PAGP is a protocol to create link aggregation. DTP is to negotiate trunks. The trunk link works over auto, on, and desirable. And PGP use the same words. This is auto, and the other is called desirable. Desirable. What are the operational modes for LACP? What's the name? Active or passive? Perfect. Excellent. Active. And the other one is called passive. Passive. Active or passive. If one side it is desirable using PAGP, desirable means one to create or needs to create a trunk. Needs to create a port channel. The desirable actively negotiate a port channel session. So if one side is desirable and the other end it is desirable too, both actively are negotiating the session. If one side is auto, meanwhile the other is desirable, the auto is waiting until somebody else negotiate the ether channel creation. So desirable one side, auto on one side, could create a port channel, could create an ether channel. The answer is yes. Is that okay? Something similar happens with the other with LACP. LACP actively negotiate an LACP session when you have the active process. If the other side is passive, the passive it is waiting. So the passive is similar like auto. When you detect that somebody else needs to or want to create a port channel, immediately the passive create the port channel. Is that okay? So you have the opportunity to use it. But if you try to mix it, because this is the other situation that happens in some configuration, if you try to use desirable and active, that configuration it is prohibited. If you try to use auto and passive, or you try to mix the protocols, that configuration never going to get a port channel. Never, 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 never. Is that okay? So my friends, let's create an ether channel here. Let's create an ether channel here. Interface range. We are working in the range. So we need the command channel group. And the group, let's create the group 12 here. Because goes between switch 1 and switch 2. And it's just a demo. But on the lab guide, you have the number that you're going to use. Channel group 12. Mode. If the port channel on the lab guide, it is requested using PAGP, we need to use combination of the names of PGP. If you have problems, if you have questions, use the question mark. Desirable, enable PAGP unconditionally. Auto, enable PAGP only if a PAGP device is detected. If someone else, negotiate the PAGP session. Is that okay? So right now, mode desirable. Hit enter. Your interfaces will go down and their interfaces will go up in a couple of seconds. This is an expected behavior. This is how the network works. Yeah, in a couple of seconds. Boom, ready. And the port channel will be created. Now, in the other end, I need to do exactly the same thing. Channel group. Remember, the channel group is locally significant, so the number could be different in the other end. Doesn't matter. But in the lab guide request that you use exactly the same number in both ends. But here, just to demonstrate, we have the opportunity to do with a different one. Follow the lab guide recommendation. Remember, you are not configuring your network. You are configuring my network, and I'm your customer. And as a customer, I'm request some specific things. Mode here. If I type the command auto, do we going to get a port channel? If you say yes, give me yes on the chat. If you say no, give me a no on the chat. What's going to happen? Are we going to have a port channel? Yes, yes. What about the others? What about the others? What about the others? What about the others, my friends? What about the others? I only have 10 people. Come on, it's supposed that we are 100, 160. Very good, very good. Yes, we're going to have a poor channel because desirable one side, out on the other side, one side at least is negotiate the creation of the poor channel. So your interfaces will go down, and in a couple of seconds, your interfaces will go up. Is that okay? Your interface is going to up now. But if we pay attention here, we have a problem. Something is happening. Something is happening. Now the port channel is created. Exit. If you apply the command do show run, you can see that a new interface is added to your system. Interface port channel 12. A new interface is on your system right now. Interface port channel 12. But Frank, why is not configuration here? Oh, something is incorrect. Something is happening. I cannot guarantee what. But those interfaces are connected to the switch number 4. Correct, 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 correct. You see, I create a port channel in the incorrect interfaces. Another problem detected. Pay attention to the port channels that you are using. Pay attention to the interfaces. I'm trying to create an incorrect port channel, or I try to create an ether channel in the interface that is incorrect. What is the important thing? Why is not negotiating? What is happening? That's why the port channel is without information. Another thing that happened on the previous lab guide. Thank you. Thank you, Narendra. Thank you, Narendra. That is correct. I used the incorrect port channel. Hey, Frank, pay attention to your logs. They say 2. And the interface that goes to the switch 1 is not the 2. It's supposed that is a 1. So what happened? My configuration do show run in both port channels is not matching because I'm not creating the correct port channel. Why is my responsibility? What I need to do in order to fix? Be careful. Be careful with the next process. Open your eyes here. Pay attention here because that's is one of the main causes what people is fail the milestone. Ready? People say, don't worry, Frank. We have the opportunity to remove that configuration. The only thing that I need to do is delete the incorrect port channel. Perfect. No interface. Port channel 21 because I create incorrectly that port channel. Do show run. Your interface port channel disappear. Ooh, fantastic, Frank. Thank you. Perfect. But be careful what happened next. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to scroll down. Every single time that you have a mistake and you remove the port channel, the interfaces that belong to the port channel, interfaces that belong to the port channel, is that okay? Interfaces that belongs to the port channel, change the state to down. When you remove the port channel, immediately the interfaces that participate on the port channel lose the command channel group. And when that happens, the interface changes logically to down. So what happened? It will going to affect the whole entire topology because right now your interfaces are down. Your interfaces are down. Why? What is my responsibility? So my Tron links is not working. Why is my responsibility? My responsibility is again go to interface, range, Ethernet to 0 to 3, interface Ethernet to 0 to 3. And here, my friends, you're going to discover something really amazing. That's why I create this problem, because this is something that is happening in your lab, guys. This is something that people is not take taking care about. Be careful. Open your eyes and verify what's going to happen here. Ready? When I apply the command interface range Ethernet 03 and apply the command again, no shutdown, my interfaces will turn on. Again, perfect, no problem. Everything is fantastic. Hey, Frank, I don't see any kind of problem. Yes. Maybe you cannot see any kind of problem, but you have one problem, my friends. Remember, this is a lab challenge, not a cooking recipe. It's not a lab guide. It's a lab challenge. What is the problem? If I apply the command do show interface trunk, my trunks are there. But if I did something incorrectly on my neighbor switch number 4, let me open the switch number 4. In the switch number 4, I'm not configuring anything, but I can guarantee that I negotiate a trunk. But if you disable the switch for non-negotiate after a failure, the other end is trying to negotiate the trunk. Enable. Show interface trunk. And there's no trunk. Right now you have one interface as trunk in one side, and you have one interface as access in the other side. But Frank, it's not supposed that we should have a mismatch? Yes, you have a mismatch. But the problem is you cannot see any log, because when you shut down the interfaces and you turn on the interfaces, the other side say, hey, what is our operational model, my friend? And you say, sorry, I'm not going to negotiate with you. This is one of the possible things that is happening, because if you for some scenario or in some scenario in your lab guide, you need to remove the port channel configuration, you change to your interfaces to shut down. And when you enable the interface again, you are having the non-negotiate. So what is my responsibility? Guaranteed again the operational of my trunk links. Many of you have a problem with that process. Many of you have a problem with that process. So the thing that I need to do here in order to correct, let me open again the switch number 1. Let me open again the switch number 2. Again, switch number 1. I have a problem. Frank, you create exactly the same mistake because you install it in the incorrect, on the incorrect device. So what is my responsibility? Now interface port channel 12, remove all the incorrect information. My interfaces will change to down, but remain down. Interface Ethernet 30, interface range, sorry. Ethernet 30 to 3. No shutdown, no shutdown. Is that okay? But if I never have that problem before, if I'm not paying attention about my logs, and we're going to spend 1 hour here troubleshoot that problem. And many of you spend a lot of time troubleshooting these issues. Troubleshooting issues that you create through a misconfiguration. Is that okay, my friends? So please always guarantee what is the correct addressing, what are the correct system. It's better that you spend some minutes, some seconds reviewing, okay, interface 1, 2, 3, interface 1, 2, 3, okay, interface range Ethernet 10 to 3, and create correctly your channel group. Channel group 12 mouth desirable. Right now the port channel goes to the other side. My interfaces goes down. That is expected behavior. You need to know what is expected behavior. And after a couple of seconds, my interfaces should change to up. Right now the other end. Switch number 2. Interface range Ethernet 10 to 3. Channel group. Could be the same one, could be a different one. Mode auto. At that moment, the port channel will go down, the port channel will go up, and we are expecting a new log here, or we're going to expect a new log here. That's it. Can you see the log? The interface, a new interface created, port channel going to up. Verify your configuration. Do show run. Do show run. The port channel is here, and the configuration that you have in your port channel match with the configuration that you have on your physical ones. Remember, the port channel inherit the configuration that you have on your physical ones. So that's why we need to guarantee that the configuration of every single physical interface, it is the same in all the interfaces that we have on the bundle. Is that okay, my friends? Did I explain correctly? Please be careful here. The port channel creation is something that should happen on the next lab guide too. At least this section should be done perfectly, at least. If not, you don't have layer 2 communication. And if you don't have layer 2 communication, there's no way that you interact with your different routers. There's no way that you interact with your different routers. Any questions here? Any questions here until this moment? Everything is okay? If everything is fantastic, if everything is perfect, now my friends, give me a yes on the chat panel. Cool. Okay. You have another problems. You have some other problems. For spanning tree problems, you have some spanning tree problems. Okay. But as soon as spanning tree right now is out of the scope of the next lab activity, I'm not going to focus on spanning tree right now. I'm not going to focus on spanning tree. Another problem. Port security. Port security. You remember? Let me open so quickly the lab guide. Let me verify something. I need to remember another problem that you have. I already have the lab guide for you. And probably we're going to test a new platform. We're going to test a new platform, and you will be the testers. I will want to design the new platform for you, and you will have the opportunity to test your own, test by your own. And let me tell you something in a couple of seconds. Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay. Let me verify what else, what other problem. Okay, the front links was one of the problems. Port channel was another problem. Spanning tree was another problem. Okay, you have problems with, okay, this is important, Yeah. For security, and this one, before we continue. Now, imagine the next situation. On the switch 1, this is something that happens on your lab guide. On the switch 1, we already have a connectivity or a connection between the switch and the router using the interface Ethernet 00. And your interface Ethernet 00 belong to a different VLAN, belong to another VLAN. Belong to the VLAN number 1. VLAN. Is that okay? If you analyze, you have the interface Ethernet 00 attached to the VLAN 1. So that's why we have communication. But what happens if you change the VLAN? What happens if you create another VLAN? For example, if you say here, hey, my interface Ethernet 00, right now, switch for access VLAN 100. For access VLAN 100. Okay. The VLAN does not exist. The switch system will going to create the VLAN, the show VLAN. And right now, your interface Ethernet 00 belongs to the VLAN 100. So at this moment, we don't have communication again with the switches and the routers. You type the command telnet, Do you remember that previously we have a telnet connection? Telnet to the 172.16.100.1. So right now the telnet it is not is impossible because we belong to a different VLAN. We belong to a different VLAN. Right now the system belongs to a VLAN named 100. Okay. If you belong to the VLAN name 100, if you belong to the VLAN name 100 right now, currently here in the device, how are you going to recover the communication with the router? What is the thing that you need to do in order to recover the communication with the router? If you are not able to change to the VLAN number 1 again, what do you need to do? Oh, please show correcting the port chunk again. Yes, of course. In the switch 1, switch 1, switch number 1. Let me show that the correct. Do show interface trunk. Show interface trunk. Here, we are creating the port channel right now, and the port channel is right now a trunk because the port channel inherits all the configuration for the physical interfaces. Which are the physical? Between switch 1 and 2, we have the 1, 1, 0, 1, 2. So 1, my interfaces 1, 0, 1, 2, 1, 3, they have the trunk links. Is that okay? Both have the trunk links. Perfect. Perfect, Rita. Okay. Now, my friends, here, this is a critical situation that's going to happen on your lab guide. Remember, it's a lab challenge. It is a lab challenge. Let's analyze. Let's analyze the situation. Let's analyze the situation. Think in the next way. Think in the next way. I'm going to explain here. Using this, using that situation. New. Okay. This is our topology diagram. Let's analyze. At the very beginning, we install an IP address here. That's why I always recommend that you take your notes. 172.16.100.1. We install that IP address here. Is that okay? Now, we create the IP address. We create another IP address. 172.16.100.11. And we install that IP address in the switch here. If you pay attention, I'm putting the IP address internally in the switch, not on the interface like the router, because the switch IP address is on the SVI. It's on the SVI. It's on the SVI. Is that okay? Is that okay, my friends? Now, at the very beginning, this interface belonged to the VLAN 1. I want to flag the VLAN 1 like a color blue. This one. Is that okay? VLAN 1. I'm telling to the system, VLAN 1 is this color, the blue color, the blue line. And as soon as you apply an SVI, an IP address on the VLAN 1, you have the opportunity to interact between these two devices. So this device is able to ping, this device it is able to telnet to the router and vice versa, because both are sharing exactly the same broadcasted domain. Make sense? Make sense? We don't have problems. Everything is fantastic. Everything is correct. Everything is clear for everyone. Cool. My friends, now what's going to happen here? If at this moment, that's the previous configuration, but right now, at this moment, I create a new VLAN. I'm going to use the orange command. I create the VLAN 100. VLAN 100. Right now, currently, we have the VLAN 100. And then, oh, I have a typo there. Don't worry. Don't worry about the typo. And there. And then I say, my interface Ethernet 0 belongs to the VLAN 100. So change the color. And I don't have management anymore. I don't have management anymore. I don't have management anymore. So the switch, when the switch tries to telnet to that device, when the switch tries to interact with that device, there's no path because the switch is trying to find a blue path, and we have, and we need here, and we need here, the VLAN 100. So Mahima said, you need to configure the IP address to the VLAN 100. Okay, let's configure the IP address to the VLAN 100. Let's configure the IP address on the VLAN 100. Let's do the IP address of VLAN 100. Okay. Let's verify what's going to happen. I'm going to put it the diagram. I'm going to put it the challenge here, and I'm going to try take my interfaces here. Okay. But remember, my friends. But remember here, the important thing. Remember here. The main goal is not changing everything. The main goal is recover the connection. Why I need to change the IP address for a VLAN 100 if that IP address belongs to the VLAN 1, not to the 100? Because I have some other devices in the system, in the domain, that use that IP address in a scheme, the VLAN 1. Is there another way? Is there another way? Do we have another chance? Do we have another opportunity? Do we have something in order to correct that process? Can we use something? Do you know one technology that maybe gives us the opportunity to transport multiple VLANs? Do you remember the name of that technology that gives us the opportunity to transport multiple VLANs in the same interface? Inter-VLAN routing. Perfect. Perfect. Perfect, you can't. That's correct. That's correct. So, Frank, if we're going to enable inter-VLAN routing, what I need to do? What I need to do in order to enable inter-VLAN routing? I have two VLANs, and I need to transport two VLANs. What is my responsibility? What I need to do? Create some interfaces on router 1. Perfect, Mahima. Perfect. So I go to router 1. I will go to router 1. Password, CXA. CXA. Enable. Cisco. Interface Ethernet 00. Configure terminal. Interface Ethernet 00. The first thing, no IP address. Remove the IP address because right now we're going to create sub-interfaces. Interface Ethernet 00.1. Encapsulation. Encapsulation. .1Q 1. That means this IP address represents this sub-interface represent the VLAN 1, the previous selected one. So simple like that. Encapsulation.1Q 1. IP address 172.16.100.1. Exactly the same IP address that I previously have on my physical interface. Right now we'll go here on the logical one. Perfect. So simple like that. So simple like that. Fantastic, Frank. But do you need another interface? Interface Ethernet 00.100. And you need to assign that interface to the VLAN 100. Encapsulation.1Q 100 in order to identify the type. Currently, I don't have an IP address. Is that okay? At this moment, I don't have an IP address, so that's why I'm not going to install anything. But the important thing is right now, we have a sub-interface, and each one of the sub-interfaces represent a different VLAN number. Do show IP interface brief. Here, I have two I have two interfaces. I have two interfaces. And you see right now? This is the first section. If I'm creating a router on a stick and the router has sub-interfaces, what is my responsibility on the switch? What I need to guarantee on the switch? What happened with the interface that connects the switch with the router? That interface must satisfy one single condition. What is the situation? Not should? Okay, it is not should the interfaces. Remember, the switch interfaces come enabled by default. What else? What else? The interface, perfect Mahima. The interface should be in trunk mode. If you don't have a trunk, there's no communication. Interface Ethernet 00, switch port trunk encapsulation, that one queue. Switch port mode trunk and switch port no negotiate, because the lab guy is requesting that we do not negotiate that process. What's going to happen? The interface comes down and the interface goes up. Here, to show interface, to show VLAN. To show VLAN. My VLAN 100 exists, but the interface disappeared. Why? Because that interface, the show interface, trunk, because right now that interface is not an access interface. It is a trunk interface. So Frank, do you already recover the management? Tell me. 172.16.100.1, boom. And I already recovered it. And I already recovered my management. Make sense, my friends? Make sense? Okay. Let's go to the next task. Port security. Port security. Port security. So Frank, right now, if you apply an IP address on the VLAN, you apply right now an IP address on the VLAN 100 for the switch, for the router, you go to the interface Ethernet 00.100. And for example, you have an IP address there. IP address 100.100.100.1 255.255.255.0, and you go to the interface number 1. You go to the switch number 1, create configure terminal, and you create interface VLAN 100. Yeah. My 3 things that I need to guarantee: no shutdown, IP address 100.100.100.11, 255.255.255. My God, 255.0. Yeah. That interface is operational right now? Yes. But you don't have access interfaces. But that trunk, but that VLAN, to show interface trunk, it is permitted at least in one trunk interface. That one. Can you see right now? So in this scenario, my friends, if I issue the word looping from the switch, looping 100.100.100.1, the ping should be successful. Can you see right now? And vice versa. If you go to the router and apply the command looping 100.100.100.11, the ping should be successful. So Frank, if you have 2 IP addresses on the same interface and the VTYs permit everything, right now you have 2 management interfaces on the switch? Correct. So if you telnet using the 100.100.100.1, the telnet, well, do telnet. The telnet should be successful too. Can you see right now? This is the most important and the most beautiful thing about the network. That's why we work here, because we have the opportunity to connect to the same device using different lines. You can use either. You can use the SBI of that belong to the VLAN number 1, or you can use it right now, the SBI that belong to the VLAN number 10. Well, to the VLAN 100. Is that okay? That's important thing. Now, my friends, now port security, the last thing related to switch number 2. The last thing related to the switch number 2. Okay. They say enable port security in your interface that belongs to the switch number 1 in order to permit just the MAC address for the router number 1. Use the sticky command, something like that. Interface Ethernet 00, switch port security, violation, shutdown. Perfect. Next, switch port security, MAC address, sticky. Boom. Next, switch port security, maximum. What is the maximum number of addresses that we're going to learn? What is the maximum? How many? How many MAC addresses I need to learn here? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many? Give me the answer on the chat. Give me the answer on the chat. Give me the answer on the chat. 1. Perfect. It's just one router. Is that correct? 1. Maximum 1. Do we already have port security enabled? No. Everybody forgets to apply the most important command. How are we going to enable that process? Switch port security. Boom. So simple like that. Immediately, my friends, when you apply the command to show running config, you have right now that process. And immediately your router learns one MAC address. If you apply the command do show port security, do show. Oh my God, something is happening. Show port security. Interface Ethernet 00. Immediately you discover that you have right now one interface permitted. But the lab guide said, ping your interfaces, ping your VLANs. You ping the VLAN 100, you ping the VLAN 100, and the ping is not working. You ping your VLAN 1, you ping 172.16.12.1.11, sorry, and it's not 12, that's 100, sorry. The ping is working. So the ping is working in one side, and the ping is not working in the other side. What is the problem? What is the problem? I told you. And the lab guy said clearly, if the ping do not work, fix it. And previously, the ping works. Can you see it now? Why is not working currently? What is the problem? What is the problem? What is the problem? The problem is that we have a trunk link here. And each one of the VLANs represent two different connections. But you are connected to the same device. So the MAC address in both interfaces is exactly the same one, but you only permit one. What is my responsibility? Correct, Mahima. Mahima say at least you need to permit two because you have two VLANs here. That is a tricky part, correct? But going to happen one day with a customer. So interface Ethernet 00, and they say if not works, fix it. Switch port security maximum 2. In that scenario, my friends, right now, you show interface port security your interface. Sorry, show port security interface Ethernet 00. You see right now, secure remains up, but right now, if I try to ping my interface, should be permitted, both. Why? Because right now, here, let's analyze with the show run. The maximum number of MAC addresses permitted, it is 2. 1 per each one of the VLANs. 1 per each one of the VLANs. My friends, we demonstrate all the tasks, all of them, all the tasks that you need to create on the system. At least the most important ones. We are only missing we have the host name, we have the management, we have all this process, and we have time. We finish with the lab guide. Next problem. Next problem. Right now, we're going to create here. Next problem, we're going to create here a Dhcp server. Another problem. And it is mandatory for the next lab guide, the Dhcp server. You're going to need it. It is mandatory for the next lab guide. So here, pay attention. It is a gift for you. Configure terminal. In order to create a Dhcp server, nobody configures a Dhcp server on the previous lab guide, and it's necessary in this activity because we have some computers. Let's configure a Dhcp server. I'm going to configure a Dhcp server. Ready? The Dhcp server that I want to configure should be for the VLAN 200. Now, imagine that process. Okay, imagine that process. VLAN 200. Configure terminal. IP Dhcp pool, and the name of the pool, Frank. Network. 200, 200, 200, 0. With a prefix 24. Just an example. Default router. 200, 200, 200, 200. Oh, the one. 201. Default router. 200, 200, 200, 201. Ready. Perfect. Fantastic. List time. 1 day. 0 hours, 0 minutes. Perfect. This is the default one. If you want to modify, you can use 1 day, 12 hours, 30 minutes. If you want it. Ready. Hey, Frank, we're going to exclude some addresses. Let's exclude some addresses. Exit. IP, Dhcp, exclude addresses. 200, 200, 205, to 200, 200, 200, 254. All others. We only have a couple of ones. We only have a few IP addresses. That's all. That's all. To show IP interface, info run. My Dhcp pool, it is configured here. It is configured here. Okay. Let's start to deliver IP address for this computer. The computer that we have here on the Ethernet 00, that is the PC 400. I'm going to open that PC. I'm going to connect to that PC. Verify what happened. Let me open the connection for the PC 400. Router 1, switch 1, and PC 400 here. Let's analyze what happened. PC 400. Can you see right now? PC 400 here. If you want to change the name, you can use with the set PC name 400. That's PC 400. Don't worry. If I'm going to request IP addresses for that DHCP server, we need to guarantee a communication. If that DHCP server will going to represent the VLAN 200, what I need to do in the switch number 1? Why is my responsibility? What is the thing that I need to guarantee? Imagine, according to the network diagram, that I'm guaranteed that this PC belongs to a new VLAN that is called 200. 200 here. This is how you always need to analyze a network. 200. So right now, according to this diagram, VLAN 200. Is that okay? So my friends, if the PC 400 it is connected to the VLAN 200, what happened with this interface on the switch? What I need to guarantee? That interface, which type of interface should be? An access or a trunk? Give me the answer on the chat. Give me the answer on the chat, my friends. This is for the next lab guide. This is something that you need. Perfect. It can't. Should be an access interface. How are we going to create an access interface here? In the switch. Configure terminal. Interface Ethernet. According to this diagram, it should be the interface Ethernet 10.0. Switch for mode. Access. Switch for access VLAN and the VLAN that you belong. 200. If the VLAN do not exist, the VLAN should be created. To show interface trunk. To show VLAN. Sorry. To show VLAN. Right now, my interface 10 belongs to the VLAN 200. Perfect, Somalia. Excellent, Worley. Excellent, Nippon. Excellent, Kant. But my friends, we only received answers for 4 people, and we are 160. What about the other? What about the other 99%? Okay. Right now, we have a VLAN. But Frank, your DHCP server is here. The DHCP server, it is here on the router. So you need to transmit, you need to transport the VLAN 200 to the router. Is that okay? You agree with me? But don't worry, because we already have a trunk link, and the trunk link permits the VLAN 200. If I go to the switch 1 again and apply the command, do show interface trunk, I can see here that the VLANs allowed on the trunk for the interface Ethernet 00 are all from 1 to 4094 and active in the management domain to have the 200. So the VLAN 200 right now is able to reach the router, has the opportunity to reach the router. The $1 million question, the $1 million question. If I go to the PC and apply the command, DHCP, in order to get an IP address, we got to set our discovery, and we remain discovering. But no one is responding. Why? What is the problem? This is the main problem on the next lab guide, why people do not pass the milestone, because they have problems with the configuration of DHCP server, always. This is like a kind of prediction, yeah? So that's why this is a gift, because I don't want that you have that problem. How are you going to fix it? What is the problem? What we are missing? What we need to do? Think. IP or DHCP service should be configured on PC. Yeah. Well, the PC, it is request. It is request. You are setting the request, but you are not getting communication. You don't have communication. The DHCP server is not going on the PC. The DHCP server goes on the router. The router is the owner of the DHCP server. Helper address. Why you need a helper address? The helper address only works when you have a DHCP server outside of your broadcasting domain. The DHCP server is inside of the broadcasting domain. This is the most common problem. Why I don't have communication with the DHCP server? Why I'm missing? What is the thing that happened here? What is the problem? What is the problem? Enable DHCP. Where? Where? And how, Heidi? How? Where and how? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. I prefer that you have mistakes here, but not on the lab challenge. On router. Okay, tell me how we're going to enable. Tell me how I'm going to enable. Which is the command that I'm going to use? Service DHCP. Globally? Locally? In an interface? How? Globally, locally, in an interface? How? Global. Service. In the global mode, here, I have service DHCP. They say enable DHCP server and relay agent. Do we need a relay? Do we need an IP helper? Let's enable the DHCP. Service DHCP. What else? Nothing. It is enabled. DHCP. Discover, 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 discover. You can find the server. Okay. You are missing a very important configuration, my friends. The most important one, maybe. The most important thing. The problem is not on the DHCP server. The problem is here. The problem is here. That one. Default router. What is the name of the default router? What is the role that the default router is playing? The role of default gateway. The $1 million question. To show IP interface. To show IP interface brief. To show IP interface brief. The $1 million question. Where is my default gateway located? Where? I don't have it. I don't have the IP address. My IP address, the default router IP address, must exist on the system. Even if it's a relay, the relay agent use the IP helper, and the IP helper address must exist on the DHCP server. So there's the only way. Here, where is my IP address located? Nowhere. How I'm going to fix it? How I'm going to fix it? How I'm going to do it? How I'm going to solve this problem? Tell me, how we're going to solve this problem? Based in your knowledge, based in your ideas, based in your experience. What is your solution? What do you need to do? What do you need to do? How are you going to fix it? Tell me your ideas. Give me your ideas on the chat. Give me all your ideas on the chat. How are we going to fix it? Using the current configuration. What happens if you go to the interface Ethernet 00, because it's the expected one, is when you expect to have the communication. Can you see? You are propagating the VLAN purple to the router, and the purple router has an interface Ethernet 00 there. But Frank, you split it on sub-interfaces, and each one of the sub-interfaces represent a VLAN. What happens if I create another sub-interface for the VLAN 200 and apply the command encapsulation.1q 200 and apply the IP address, and the IP address that I select is exactly the same IP address that I'm using as a default gateway on the router. 200, 200, 201, 255, 255, 255.0. This configuration works. Wow. Wow. And the system immediately gives to you an IP address. My friends, the main problem that people have when are configuring the DHCP servers, they forget to install the IP address in the network that shares the broadcast domain with the computer. And we need to guarantee that at least one interface match with the IP address that I have as a default router. This is how we link these two devices. This is how we connect these two devices, the interface with the internal local DHCP server. Did I explain correctly? If I explain correctly, my friends, give me a yes on the chat panel. I want to verify if you remain here, if you are right now here, if you are enjoying this process, if you are clarifying some doubts. Perfect, perfect. Very good, very good, very good, very good. I can see a lot of yes right now. It's a little different interaction. Cool, fantastic, my friends. So please remember that, and not only for the milestone, and not only for your lab guide. Remember for everything. Remember for everything. I hope next year we have the opportunity to plan some sessions, and in that sessions we're going to have some extra activities similar like that in order to explain the common issues. A little how to fix, a little walkthroughs in order to clarify this kind of problem. Okay. In order to finish right now, because this is the other problem. Next lab guide, demonstration. In the next lab guide, you're going to enable OSPF. How are we going to enable OSPF? Excellent. You want to work with static routing. Yeah. You want to work with IPv6. So study, please. Study IPv6. Let's find a solution here with, let's verify here, OSPF. I'm going to create OSPF. Right now. Router, OSPF, and a process. The process number should be 1. It's router 1, I'm going to use process 1. Remember, the process number is not important, but please, in the lab guide, you will going to have a process number. So please use the process number requested on the lab guide because you are configuring client network, Frank's network. Now, my network. First, let's create a neighbor relationship using the Vlan 1. So the network that I'm going to advertise should be 172.16.2.100.0. It is the network, and we use the wildcard 0000255, and then the area. Let's create the first area because this is a challenge. This is a challenge. That is part of our challenge. Okay. I'm going to create here the area number 172. Just to identify. This is something that will going to happen on that day. 172. Perfect. So right now, the router 1 is propagating hello packets. Router number 1, it is propagating hello packets in the area 172. It is okay if I delete this diagram in order to explain right now OSPF diagram. If you agree, give me a yes, and I'm going to delete this diagram. Give me a yes on the chat. Perfect. Okay. Let me delete this diagram. Let's focus here. What is the thing that I'm going to do here? Okay. Now we have these two information: 172.100, 172.16.100.11. These two devices right now, here, we are creating a new area. The area name is called The area name is called area 172. Is that okay, my friends? 172. Perfect. No questions? Great, fantastic. Now, I'm going to make this challenge interesting because it's a challenge. And this is something that will going to happen on your lab guide. This is something that similar happens on the lab guide. It is really important that you pay attention where is your areas located. Let's create another area. I'm going to create another area here. Between router 1 and router 2, I'm going to create a new area here. This brown area. The name of this area should be area 192. Is that okay? And in the router number 2, on router number 2, I'm going to create here on router number 2 a loopback to simulate my host, to simulate a testing device. The loopback that I'm going to use on router number 2 should be the 2222222 with a prefix of 32. Is that okay? Ready? Okay, this is our current challenge. Ready? Let me configure it for you. We already have the 172 in the router 1. What I need to do in the switch? What I need to do on switch 1? We already have 192. Let's go to the switch number 1. I'm going to put switch 1 here in the bottom in order that you are able to see the diagram. How are we going to enable OSPF in the switch? First, configure terminal. Second, IP routing. Third, router, OSPF, and the process. I'm going to use the process 11. Don't worry, it's just a demo. Network. The network that I'm going to advertise 172.16.100.0.00000 245, and the area. The area must be 172 because it is important that we guarantee that both areas match. Remember, in order to create a neighbor relationship, the area must match. My friends, the $1 million question, which is the interface that I'm using on the switch to propagate the hello packet? Give me the answer on the chat. Because I don't have an IP address here in the Ethernet 00. So my question is, I'm able to create a neighbor relationship? The answer is yes. How? Over the SVI. If your SVI is shut down, there's no neighbor relationship. Remember that for the next milestone. Remember that for the next guys, for the next challenge, my friends. This is a common issue why people do not create relationship because they have the SVI incorrect, or they don't have an IP address, or the SVI is not satisfying one of the 3 conditions that we must satisfy in order to create a neighbor relationship. Right now, do we have a neighbor relationship? Perfect. Yes, I have it. So what happened here? If I go to the switch number 1 and apply the command to show IP route, I have a routing table right now. Can you see it now? The routing table is here. And the VLAN 1, it is participating in the OSPF. So if I apply the command do show IP OSPF neighbors, I can see a neighbor. I can see a neighbor. The 200, 200, 201. Hey, Frank, why do you have that name? It's not supposed that you should have the neighbor 100, 100, no. Or 172, no. Because the routed ID is always get using the highest IP address. And the current highest IP address is the 200. But you are able to change in the router 1 the name with the command routed ID. If I issue 1111111 as a routed ID, I need them to apply the command to clear IP OSPF process. You say yes. The router reset the process. And right now the neighbor relationship on the switch changed for the 111. But Frank, you have two routers. Wait a second. Do you remember the hold on timer? 20, 16, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Goodbye. Do you remember what happened with the hello and the timers? What is the hello by default in OSPF? 10 seconds. What is the hold on timer? 40 seconds. After 40 seconds that you don't have interaction with the other device, the device gone. Okay? Router 1. Ready. Let's go to the next part and finish. Let's go to the next part and finish. Router 1. Interface serial 10. I'm going to install an IP address. IP address 192.168.12.1. 255.255.255.0. I have an IP address. My responsibility, no shutdown. Go to the process. Router OSPF 1. Oh my God, I have a typo. Router OSPF 1. Now, network, and advertise the network. 192.168.12.0, 0000.255, and the wildcard at the area. Area 192. Perfect. Open router number 2. Let me connect to the router number 2. Let me connect into the router number 2. There we go. We have a connection to the router number 2. Router 1, switch 1, my topology diagram, and the router number 2 here. I'm going to put router number 2 here. No? Yes? Wait a couple of seconds. It's just 10 seconds. It's just 10 seconds. Yeah, cool, fantastic. Enable. Configure terminal. No IP domain lookup. Yeah. Hostname. Router 2. Interface serial 11. No shutdown. IP address 192.168.12.2, 255, 255.255.0. Yeah. Interface loopback 2. IP address 2222222. Oh my God, I have a typo here. 2222222. 255.255.255.0. Sorry, it's 32. 255 is not 24. Very good. Router OSPF 2. Network 192.168.12.2. So simple like that. Oh, but it's a network, Frank. Sorry. 255 area 192. A neighbor relationship we're going to create between the router 1 and the new router 2. Advertise the loopback. Network 192.168. Sorry. 2222222 area 192 in the same area. It's part of our same area. Right now, here, my friends, what is the thing that happened? If you go to router 1, the router 1 had 2 neighbors. To show IP OSPF neighbor. 2 neighbors. Hey Frank, why with 1 neighbor you have a hyphen here? Oh, because in serial links, it is a point-to-point connection. And in a point-to-point connection, there's no election for designated router and backup designated router. So that is correct. That is an expected behavior. Yes, sometimes people spend some time here, try to fix it. and say, because Frank, I don't have I have a problem here. Come on, my friend, it's a serial one. We already have our router here. We already have a router here. We already get the router ID here. Now, do show IP route OSPF. You learn internally in your area. You learn internally in your area. What you learn internally in your area? The loopback address. As soon as that address belongs to another system, but is part of your same area, this is an intra-area route. So you are able to ping the ping 2222222, and the ping should be successful. Fantastic, my friends. The $1 million question. The $1 million question. Do we have one area here? We have another area here. So this router is an ABR, correct? Do show IP OSPF. If you analyze, the system says here, here. Number of areas in this router, area 172 and area 192. Can you see right now? This is an ABR. This is an ABR, an area border router. This is an area border router. So simple like that. Now, if this is an ABR, switch 1 must have the opportunity to communicate with the loopback. If I go to the switch 1 and apply the command do show IP route OSPF, because we have a neighbor relationship, the route is empty. Why? Why? And how are you going to fix it? Why? What is the problem? What is the problem, my friends? Area 0 is not configured. Perfect, Mahima. Perfect. At least we need area 0. We must have something called area 0. The area 0 must exist. The area 0 must exist. Which interface will going to participate in area 0? Well, on the lab guide is perfectly identified. But sometimes I don't know why people do not identify the area 0. They forget to create the area 0. It might not be in the router. Even in the router, I'm going to simulate the area 0. Even I don't have any other IP address. Interface loopback 1. But I want to do it in that way just to demonstrate how important is the area 0. 1111111. IP address 1111111. 255, 255, 255. Oh my God. And 255. Router OSPF 1. Network 11111. Imagine the whole entire area, it is just one single device, one single router, one single system. 0000, area 0. Now, there's no new relationships, there's not anything, but immediately the system learns. And the router right now is able to ping 22222. Fantastic. Did I explain correctly? Please, for the next lab challenge, take care about area 0. Analyze where your area 0 it is configured. My friends, homework. Homework. This is your homework. I'm already going to finish with this activity. That's the only thing that I want to demonstrate because you need it. Take care with your passwords. Be careful with the layer 2 because it is important. We need to create some layer 2 communication in order to have communication between routers and switches. And when you advertise the networks, take care about the networks and guarantee where is your area 0 located. Is that okay? Homework, because maybe one day you're going to need it. Imagine that you have a situation similar like this. This is the last thing that I want to teach today. And then we're going to have a Q&A session. Imagine that you have a similar situation like this. Imagine that you create here. I'm going to delete everything because we don't need it. It's just to explain. Imagine that you have the area 0 created here. Is that okay? And you have another area 0 created here. And between these areas, you have another area connected here. You have another area here. So that means, Frank, router 3 and router 1 both are playing the role of AVRs? Correct. You have multiple AVRs. But there's a question. There's something that you need to satisfy. There's something that you need to satisfy here. And the conditions say the area 0 must be continuous. And right now, this area 0, that is the green side, area 0, it is discontinuous. Right now, it's not working. And you have another area here, area 20 maybe. Is that okay? Other area. So my friends, what is the solution? How are we going to communicate these two systems? How are we going to communicate these two systems? The system that we have here in the area 0 and the other area 0. Please perform a quick research, because probably one day you're going to need it. Because we need to communicate these two areas in order that became the area 0's continuous. If you want to test it, you can simulate it. You have access to that resources, and you know how to configure SPF. Just configure these two devices with one area, these other two devices with one other area, and create the area 20 here. And even if you want to have a loop testing, you can add a loopback here, and also you can add a loopback here in order to test. Is that okay? Please, homework, because you're going to need it one day. Research what is the main goal of a feature called virtual link and how to configure it. Virtual link. Virtual link. This is the next step in your career. What happened next? What happened above the CCNA? Is that okay? That's all for today. That's the only thing that I want to teach today. Those are the things that you need for the next activity. You have the first part correct. You create correct the second section, and you install the addressing scheme correct, and you create an OSPF neighbor relationship correct, and you finish with your DHCP correct, you have a lot of chance to pass. If not going to pass, my friends. Not going to pass. Perfect. Any question? We have some minutes for a Q&A session. Something that you want to know, something that you need to, something that you want to clarify, something that you have as a doubt, something that you need something to connect areas without connecting through area 0. It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. You can use virtual link to connect areas that is not directly connect to area 0. That is the other approach of a virtual link. So here, for example, when you have, imagine that you have the area 0 here. Imagine that this is your area 0. Area equal to 0. Imagine that you create another area here. You need an AVR, an area border router here. That will be your AVR. And then you need to create another area. You're going to connect another AVR. It's a similar situation, but right now we are trying to make the area 0 continuous, or provide continuity on the area 0. So it's exactly the same thing. In both works in that way, but the solution is exactly the same. If you want to connect one area that is remote to the other area, you need to satisfy the condition that all areas must be connected to the area 0. So that's why a virtual link is the solution. So both technologies, both solutions apply for the same situation. Correct? Very good. To connect areas without connecting through area 0, it is impossible. We need to connect always area 0. There's no way that we skip that rule. That's why the area 0 is the backbone. Always we need the backbone. Always. At least if we don't have a backbone, we need to simulate with a loopback or whatever. But we must have participate into the area 0. If not, there's no communication. It's a rule. Any other question, my friends? Something that you want to know, something that you need? Ask your questions. Something that you need to, something that you want to verify, any doubt for the next lab challenge, something that you need. You will going to receive a copy of the topology. You will want to receive a copy of the topology. I will share the topology for you. And my friends, right now, the lab guide will be accessible in a little different way, because nowadays we are decommissioning the protected system. So right now we're going to use another one. We are testing a new solution, but it says, but at the same time you will going to have access to the lab guide. At the end, you will going to have access at the end. My friends, something that I'm forget. Please. This is really important. This is really important. Some of you share this type of connection, share this type of information. Some of you. Let me explain. At the end of the activity, you need to collect the logs and create the text files. Oh, yes, Frank, I remember. So some people do only this process. Show run. For example, do show run. And only copy here. Do show run. And only copy that. Hey, I need the complete output. I need the complete output. So if you see more, and then select and copy till the end, to the beginning, to the show run, send the whole entire output. Believe me, some of you do not share the whole entire output. That's why it is critical. It is critical for your system. I need the whole entire output. Great question. How to insert an image banner? Cool. A banner, the banner. There's so different web pages. You can use different web pages. You have internet access. One of the web pages that I recommend is that one. For example, you can use here. I'm going to share right now with you this web page. This is one of my favorite ones. I want to share it using the chat to all attendees. That is text-to-image.com. Also, I recommend this other. This other web page. Let me see if I found it. Oh, this one. This web page is one of my favorite ones too. Here you are able to create banners. But Frank, that image was restricted in that document for copying without chill. My friends, really? Really? The image is restricted to copy? I share the image on the WebEx. I send the image on the WebEx. You are not paying attention. I said, if you need the image, I will share it with you, and I share it. The image is on the WebEx. Because it is restricted on the lab guide. You cannot extract from the lab guide. You have internet access. You can find any image. You can find a similar one. But I share the image with you using the WebEx, and I say, hey, if you need the image, here's the image. And to be completely honest, people were paying attention. They send the image as identically. Is that okay? Identically. I have some very great configurations with the image. Okay, my friends, here. Let me show this. Let me show to you this this web page. How to create an image here. You go to image to text here. You can create. You can go to convert. You are able to select different ones, HTML, ASCII, matrix, whatever. I'm going to select ASCII. You browse the image. You browse the image here. For example, let me open an image. Pictures. Let's use, for example, this picture like something similar like this. Open. You select the amount of characters, you select the text color black, the background white. If you want an extra contrast, and you click on convert, and the system creates the image for you immediately. And you only think copy and paste. Boom, that's all. Here, for example, if you go to text to ASCII and you say, I want to use the Cisco or something, you can test alt, and you will find a lot of banners, a lot of type of banners. Those two web pages, recommended, recommended. But Frank, the image was restricted. That's correct. How to copy? How to install it? Imagine the next situation. Let me convert it again because I need a smaller one, because the system do not support us, that big one. Let me do it a little bit smaller. Instead of 100, and we're going to select 80 characters. Black line and extra construct. Yes, convert. Should be a little bit smaller. Perfect. You only select Control C. You open your switch system. Banner. Exit. Banner MOTD. You need a special character. You can give it a space if you want it. Paste it. Beautiful. You can give some other extra spaces. Enter, and when you apply the command, and exit, your banner should be there. Just simple, beautiful. This is how you create it. This takes 1 minute or two. If you don't find the image, you can go to the internet and you can find something similar. Having your logo free to avoid any problem, any legal problems, free. And here you can find the images. Probably you will want to find it here. Avengers. It's here. Marvel logo. And you can copy and paste it. And it's for free. So my friends, use your resources. Use your resources. Remember, became a solution designer, not a problem creator. That's my recommendation always. Always. You became a solution designer. Any other question? Any other question? Great question. Any other? Can we get last lab Lacp for practice? No. The answer is no. Those are private. It is private information and is protected by copyright. To avoid any duplicate information, we cannot share it. But you have the opportunity to practice creating your own challenges because you have access to the topology and you have access to your previous configuration. And you maybe remember which is the challenges that you're going to create. Is that okay? Is that okay, my friends? So Any other question? Something that you want to know? If there's no more questions, my friends, I would like to say thank you to be here today and goodbye. My friend Prashad, thank you to record that session. Please share the recording with everybody. For me, it's a pleasure. See you soon and practice.
Frank,
Practice hard.
so before you drop off, Frank, I just had one thing from the last time. A lot of them actually found the challenge to be a little exhausting in terms of time. So do you have any time-saving tricks, such as the copy-paste option, if you could just showcase those? Anything along those lines if you want to suggest?
Well, well. To be completely honest with you, my friends, you are able to create your like a script if you want it. Yeah, if you want it, you are able to create a script. If you manage your sessions here, if you manage your sessions with secure CRT, you manage the sessions with security here, you have the opportunity to send commands to multiple sessions at the same time. This is one thing. But to be completely honest with you, my friends, the lab guide, the time to the lab guide, it is enough. It is enough. I never create scripts. I never do it in that way. I only guarantee that my configuration goes correct on the first time, on the first since the very beginning. And I always configure manually every single system. But if you want to create a script, create a script. You can use a text file. Yeah, you can create a text file, or you can open a text file. Let me open a text file. And for example, here in the notepad, if you want to type, for example, I don't know, enable configure terminal, new IP domain lookup, line console 0. Oh my God, line console 0, login synchronous, password, login, whatever, and copy and paste it. You are able to do it if you want it. There's no restrictions. There's no restrictions. The lab guide do not restrict any other tool. Do not restrict any other tool. The important thing here is configure faster. Manage your time. The only thing that I recommend is the first section must be configured in the first 40 minutes. If you spend more than that time, you're going to have a lot of problems to finish. The first section is taking about 40 minutes. The second section, you want to spend about 1 hour. 1 hour. So right now you have 1 hour and 40 minutes. You have 100 minutes. And you have 150 to finish the whole entire lab guide. The third section, that is the last one, probably you're going to spend 20 minutes at maximum, 20 to 30 minutes. In that scenario, my friends, in that scenario, you have 20 more minutes. Why 20 more minutes? Because probably you were going to need to troubleshoot something, probably you need to think in a solution, but the time is enough to finish. The new lab guide, the timing for the new lab guide. Again, it is similar, but right now focus in layer 3. So the first section, the recommendation is a little bit shorter. It's a little bit shorter the third section. So the first section should be between 30 to 35 minutes, kind of. The second section should take about 20 minutes, not more. The third section, you're going to spend here, at least here, you're going to spend 1 hour, 60 minutes. 60 minutes here, at least, in the last section. And the last one of the last ones, yeah, probably you spend 20 minutes, that's all. So here, my friends, you have 20 plus 20, 100, 130, 135, and you have 150 minutes. 4 sections. Unfortunately, I cannot share with you the lab guide right now because we are recording. And if we record, everybody later has the opportunity to stop the recording. Let's start to analyze. And this is not a expected thing. This is not a expected thing. Okay. when you have an interaction with a customer, the customer immediately says, hey, this is a problem, okay, and you need to start to collect the logs. But the most important thing about here, you start since the very beginning. So if you follow the correct configuration, you never want to have problems. That is how it works. Okay, my friends, but that's the timing expected for the next lab. And remember, always, I'm sharing my screen with you. I install a clock, and everybody can see the clock. So it is not necessary that you open a clock. I share a clock with you, and the clock is, yeah. And I always say, hey, hurry up, my friends, right now, and then manage your time. The section 1 should be done here. The next section should be done here. So I always provide support in that way. Is that okay? So ready? That's all for today, my friends. Enjoy. Let me disconnect these devices. Let me shut down my devices.
Right. So thanks a lot, Frank, for your time and effort over here in taking us through the lab demo session.
Great.
I hope all the interns got some valuable information, and the PEX managers also got some information with regards to the same.
Perfect.
With that being said, thanks a lot, guys. We're gonna close this session here and now. Really appreciate your time, and goodbye. See you back on 28th of May for the actual assessment 2.
Very good. Enjoy, my friends. Study hard. Please review these recommendations. That's the main goal of the demo session. Review this recording and practice your own. Practice by your own. You have access to the topology. You will have the opportunity to become familiar with the topology, but use it. Access to the lab. It is a tool for you. Use it. I saw it in my system that many of you are not using the lab. You are using some other resources, or maybe you are not using anything. So it is important that you use that resources. Okay, the results for the assessment, please talk with Prashad. Prashad already have the results for the assessment for the previous one. Is that okay? I already shared it. Okay. Prashad, and well, unfortunately, Vipin right now is not your manager, but talk with your manager, with your local manager. Your local manager should be able to share that information. Okay, and the local manager knows what is the best way to explain what is the problem. Yeah. Okay. See you, my friends. Goodbye. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.